Together you embrace. Lead us higher for every coming rain. Ilang pagkakatulong Shillong. Iwanan ng wajan halos pinlong. Iumabang katiwa, iwaku. Ikan ku berkisah madu. Nong song song kari, dosu mariati. Kadang kanzil satu kasih. Umatkan kinjau. Lead us higher for every coming rain. Ajaran ni parurang Tuhan yang wacana. Masaki roken wali mengira kuat dengan Ucap wajib dalam aku senang. Wajib amat sama ulidah alaki rokok, alaki jinglong. Sajingkan akhirnya beda kan kau. Langit tingkong sinar, bersama yang kencang. Angin kosong pandai kahong kasong. Meghalaya, sweetest homeland of the clouds. Living in your arms, we feel so proud. Archie kasih janja, together you embrace. Lead us higher for every coming rain. Meghalaya, sweetest homeland of the clouds. Living in your arms, we feel so proud. Archie kasih janja, together you embrace. Lead us higher for every coming rain. Meghalaya.
Thank you, students, for the wonderful song. I'm sure the colorful dresses and the melodious voices have warmed us all up and further enlivened the occasion. May I now request our principal, Dr. Ratnadeep Roy, to kindly come up on stage to felicitate our guests. First, I would like to invite on stage our chief guest, Sri Medba Lingo, Speaker, Meghalaya Legislative Assembly, and would like to request our principal to kindly felicitate him. I request our students to kindly escort sir onto the stage. Thank you, sir. Now, I take the pleasure of inviting our guest of honor, Srimati Amperine Lingua, member of the Meghalaya Legislative Assembly, to the stage and would like to request our principal to kindly felicitate her. Thank you, ma'am. May I now request our principal, Dr. Ratnadeep Roy, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
When you start being enthusiastic about whatever it is you like, that is the golden age. We at Women's College and everyone present here, I'm sure, is very enthusiastic about everything about Meghalaya. And so we are here. Good afternoon to one and all present in this college and at this room now. As principal representing Women's College fraternity, I welcome our chief guest for today's function, Sri Medha Lingo, Honorable Speaker, Meghalaya Legislative Assembly. I also welcome Srimati Amperine Lingo, Honorable Member, Legislative Assembly of Meghalaya. I welcome Sri Mr. Jagdish Chelani, IAS, Director of Meghalaya Basin Management Agency. I welcome Mr. Larsing Ning Saiwan, Managing Director, Centrepoint Group Enterprise and President Meghalaya Football Association. I also take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Flo Oberhofer, Program Head, Promotion and Incubation of Market-Based Enterprises. I welcome Ms. Eva Malai, fashion designer and owner, Ethnic Fashion House. I take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Mark Lightfon Stone, an entrepreneur, impact coach, motivational speaker, and managing director, Avenue Shillong. It is a privilege to welcome Mr. Jiva Vaswani, managing director, Jiva Hospitality of India Limited. He has also, may I say, found his heart's calling in helping beautify Shillong. Welcome, sir, to the college. I also welcome Ms. Dasu Marlene Majau, first woman coffee entrepreneur of Meghalaya and founder Smoky Falls Tribe Coffee. She is the second recipient of Meghalaya Entrepreneurship Recognition Award. I welcome Dr. Moushumi Dey, moderator for today's panel discussion. It is a privilege to welcome our Vice Principal and the faculty members of the college. And last but not the least, the students who are present here. I welcome members of the print and electronic media who are present here to cover today's program, which would be, I think, will be telecast at a later time and date by Doorshan. So welcome once again to one and all present here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and perceptive welcome address. I'm sure we at Women's College share a common vision and hope to work towards this end. May I now request our students from BSW second semester to come up on stage and present their dance named Life in a Village, Jingin Nongtingdong, which is based on agriculture and the rustic way of life. Thank you, students, for the lovely performance that really set up the mood and got all of us grooving to the rhythm of the song. May I now request and invite our respected chief guest, Sri Medba Lindo, to kindly deliver his address. I would like to request our principal to kindly escort him onto the stage.
Very good afternoon to you all. Dr. Ratnadeep Roy, the principal of the Women's College, and all the faculties of the college. I am pleased to be here today and pleased to see Dr. Amperin Lindo, my colleague in the assembly, to be here with us today. And I'm sure that the management has ensured that at least one women's representative is here, so that I'll not be, feel left out in the women's college. And glad to learn that all the panelists who are here, Mark, Bala Singh, my friends, and Mr. Jagdish Chalani, who's the Executive Director of the MBDA, all the invited guests, and all the panelists, I should say, and all the invited guests, and students of the Women's College, and the media, both the print and the electronic as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to learn that Women's College is the only college which is a girls' only college, which caters mainly to the educational needs of the students, especially from the rural areas. And this year is the 50th year of our statehood. And I'm glad to learn that you are also associating yourself in celebrating our statehood with the government of Meghalaya, the people of the state, and I'm glad to be a part of this celebration of your college. I'm also glad to learn that today you are having this special program for the, especially on the panel discussion, where you have invited all the very important people who will be the panelists in the dais to share their experiences and their success in the field of as entrepreneurs in the state. I'm sure that all of you are being informed that how the statehood came into existence, and I'm very delighted to tell you that yesterday, coincidentally, all of us must have just gone through, by reading the books about how the statehood has been formed and how this state of Meghalaya has attained its statehood. But yesterday, I have come across coincidentally with one of the volunteers who fought for a statehood, beginning sometime in 1967-68. Those years I was just born. And he narrated about the different programs and how he has been trained to be a volunteer in those days. And well, it was too short of a time that I could spend with him. And I said that we will meet very soon, where I'll be inviting all those volunteers and those freedom fighters who fought for the state to have a kind of discussion where most of the people of the state and the people of outside the state as well should know how the state of Meghalaya has been formed. Today, the panel discussion is here with the topic of promoting market-driven entrepreneurship for vibrant Meghalaya. A market-driven entrepreneurship, more specifically, startup or early stage business activity, that address opportunities in the market and that which offers unique and novel products or services to customers. Recently, if you recall, the Union Minister of State's independent charge of science and technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh, informed that there are 67,000 startups have been registered in the last 6 years by the Department of Promotion and Internal Trade. According to Niti Aayog, India's rural economy constitutes nearly half of the nation's income. Therefore, its growth and development are key to the overall growth of the country. I hail from a constituency where it is in the rural areas. I would like to stress here on how we connect the urban entrepreneurs with the rural entrepreneurs. The state of Meghalaya also applies for better employment opportunities, facilities for higher education and quality standard of living. So, in that context, there is an immediate need. There is an immediate need to design and implement grassroots interventions in a way that ensures next generation youth engage and scale this in a substantial manner. In our state of Meghalaya, the rural economy needs the support, growth of micro enterprises in all the livelihood opportunities available within the rural clusters only. Quality services and products to the micro enterprises could be provided to the community, along with the ensuring good products from rural areas reach the urban geographic freeze. Another part which is very important, which I would like to stress here, is that upskilling the rural youth and encouraging them to become entrepreneurs is very, very important. And value change will bring in more meaningful results and subsequently financial inclusion may prove to be a key to unlocking the potential for micro and small enterprises to grow. Reducing the vulnerabilities of rural communities to income shocks and promoting more sustainable and equitable developments. Again, rural entrepreneurships can address many socio-economic challenges through easy access and secure access to patient capital and employment growth, improved standard of living, reduction of population migration. Because as you have seen now, there are a lot of migration which are taking place from rural areas to the urban areas. Why? Because these opportunities are not there in the rural areas. The focus is always there within the urban areas. So therefore, today I'm stressing on the rural connect with the urban and where we can provide them the platform in the rural areas which are available in the urban areas as well. To fructify this vision, the key stakeholders, that is the state, the market, and the civil society, would have to collaborate efficiently together. A well-defined partnership among the three cohorts can pave the way to improve livelihood opportunities, It can support communities to independently recognize solutions for local challenges. If rural aspirations are treated the same way as urban aspirations, Meghalaya, our state, or other parts of the country which have the rural areas as well, they will be able to connect to the global market, thereby widening the contribution to the entire state economy. Therefore, today I am pleased to be part of this special program. I'm sure that all of us who are here today will not just listen to the talk or the opinions or the things that will be shared by all the panelists here, but we should grab this as an opportunity for us that how we share this with those people in the rural areas and opening up their minds to be at par with the entrepreneurs who are here in the urban areas. I wish this program a success, and I also wish that the celebration, which today is the beginning of your celebration, uh, in celebrating this 50th year of the statehood, will be a grand success. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your speech. Your words have certainly inspired all of us and given us key insights on Meghalaya's statehood and market-driven entrepreneurship with a focus on rural areas. This will definitely help us in the days to come. May I now invite on stage our student, Mary Stella Pingrove from DSW 4th semester to present her song, Sir Lapalang, based on a Khasi tale. Lapalang, who was a young deer who loved adventure and sets off in search of something different, not heeding to his mother's words or to the voice inside him, leads him to his fall. This is a tragic and unforgettable story of Usier Lapalang, which will be presented to us now in the form of a song.
Very good afternoon to you all. My name is Mary Stella Pingrove, and the song that I'm going to sing this very moment is Usir Lapana. Nasli berkhet syai menhet satam marwen ngasa kunswer Haba nama kendrem mekha donut smosi naib sosa Lashen kapipone yakarenye ukendremre Lashen una saram yakarensi umapala Kukunga and I let you Shali Kasi Shali Ibrir Shong Kong Hala Bidhem Bidhor Bada Uka Bada Udor
Thank you, Mary, for that beautiful and soulful song. It has truly touched our hearts and created a beautiful visual imagery of the popularity that we have always been hearing. May I now request our guest of honor, Srimati Ambreen Lingdor, to kindly come up on stage and deliver her address. Once again, I would like to request our principal to kindly escort her onto the stage.
Very good afternoon to everyone. Chief guest of this function, the Honorable Speaker of the Meghalaya Legislative Assembly, Bart Dino, Principal, Women's College, Dr. Ratnadeep Roy, faculty, staff, students of Women's College. I would also like to recognize the panelists all present here to be discussing a very important and relevant subject called Meghalaya Entrepreneurship Conclave 2023 on the topic Entrepreneur and the Road Ahead, Meghalaya's Next 50. Dear friends, Swamiji, who is also here, it is a very positive step to see a women's college discussing entrepreneurship. Usually, entrepreneurship is a topic that is left only to the men. So I'm happy to see that Meghalaya has seen the capacity, the capability of women to also excel in entrepreneurship. I'm particularly very delighted to see that two of the panelists are also women. I'm so proud of the two of you. who are going to be here to tell women folk in this institution that even women can excel in businesses of different kinds. If you look into some of the ordinary entrepreneurship engagements around you in any city, in any street, whether in Shillong or any other city or smaller village across the state of Meghalaya, it is actually women who are the most successful. Every quiet shop that you see is run by a woman. Most of the vendors that you see on the street are also women. In my constituency particularly, I am so proud to see the kind of thriving businesses around my constituency, which are predominantly managed, financed, and engaged by women. We have some of the most beautiful, interesting, self-made women entrepreneurs who sell from yummy parathas to some of the most exotic cakes. We have women who are engaged in the simplest of Jankarsha hemming to some of the most beautiful wedding gowns by women in my constituency. So it's about time that Meghalaya, right at the age of 50, to engage with women who are basically the bread earners of practically 80 to 90% families in our state. Believe me when I tell you that as an MLA, I have seen that women are the main bread earners in almost all of the homes that I visit every day round the year. So I'm happy that we are now willing to sit and engage with women to give them better skills, give them tips, give them recognition for something which anyways they have been doing on an ordinary basis. The women of this institution come from far and near. Women's College, correct me if I'm wrong, Principal Sir, is an institution which literally is taking the rejects of most of the better off colleges. But it's up to you, the women in this institution, to prove all those institutions that didn't give you an opportunity to study in their institutions that you are as special, that you are as capable, and that you are a force to be reckoned with. I also know that in this institution, there are young girls from Sir Medba, the Honorable Speaker's own constituency. There are women from Karo Hills, the beautiful song that you have sang today, very interesting melody. I also know that there are girls from Nongspan, girls from every part of Jaintia Hills, because I have met them in my door-to-door when I visit communities in various localities. I've seen the number of hostels that exist in and around this institution that is housing them and providing them with a shelter while they educate themselves in this institution. Now, to all the girls in this institution, I wish you well. Gone are the days of a previous generation where my mom and dad literally thought that I was a hopeless citizen if I didn't get a government job. I will not tell my daughter that in my generation, because my daughter will talk me down and call me old school or old fashioned. Gone are the days when you're going to wait for a government to provide you with a job. Because government jobs have become redundant in modern day generation. Anyways, no government will take the responsibility of assuring you a job. But yes, the MDA government is willing to sit and talk business with citizens of this state and tell them that if you have a good plan and if that plan is going to work, we as a government will give you the hand holding. To me, that is important because each and every one of you will not be able to be accommodated in government services. Yes, I would like to see that the Women's College will be able to produce women with necessary intelligence to join this bureaucracy whose main backbone is made and built by officials belonging to the other states across this country. I would like to see each of you, faculty included, to build a bureaucracy of our own local people so that we can design policies and plans which are local and which are relevant to the state of Meghalaya in our own given situation. Most of the startup projects of the government of India have done well in several states across this country. But for the northeastern region, we need to design schemes which will be suitable for the people and citizens of our state. I would like to see Meghalaya, while it celebrates its 75th anniversary, that we will have a bureaucracy that is made by us for us. That is my dream. And I wish that this institution will build that kind of a manpower that we so urgently require so that we can create for the state of Meghalaya its own opportunity to seize all available resources that can sustain us for ourselves first. I look forward to engaging with this institution to empower the women further. Women are already empowered in the state of Meghalaya. But, a big but, women lack the courage. Women lack this determination. Because in my state, I, as a woman of the community and the daughter of my parents, am also expected to further this generation by ensuring that I have a daughter for myself. So that my clan doesn't die, my clan doesn't become extinct. Which, by the way, is not a headache of the men in my community. It is my headache, my responsibility. So amidst that great responsibility, I know that women in the state of Meghalaya are capable of doing much. We want to start cracking, and a conclave of this nature will take future women of Meghalaya to that stage where we can say that while COVID-19 taught us that one can work from home, one can acquire an education or a degree from home, I urge the women of this institution to continue to pursue your dream and not be discouraged by the important responsibility that you have to carry forward in your lives. Thank you so much for having me here. This is the first time that I'm in the NX, which was a scheme brought by Rosa to this institution. I have seen women's college functioning from a small Assam type building. And today, I come into this auditorium with great pride, knowing that the government of Meghalaya has done something for you. Now, it is the responsibility of this institution to do something for the government of Meghalaya and its citizens. It is a big responsibility, but not doable. So all the best for this beautiful panel discussion on entrepreneurship and the road ahead. I see so many young people already known by the community, and I look forward to ensuring that I also learn something from some of the things that you will be discussing today. With these few words, thank you so much for having me by. God bless you. Kuble, Mithila, Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am, for that thoroughly illuminating and insightful speech, focusing on women entrepreneurs and how many of them have now become bread earners of the family and are becoming empowered. Rest assured, your words will inspire us to imagine a better and brighter tomorrow. With that, we come to the end of the inaugural session. And while I thank everyone once again for being in our midst, I would also like to inform you that we will shortly begin with a panel discussion on promoting market-driven entrepreneurship for vibrant Meghalaya. And we would specially request our dignitaries and guests to also join us for that session. I am pleased to inform you that we have a very distinguished set of panelists come entrepreneurs who have not only excelled in their fields, but have also carried forward the name of the state far and wide to distant parts of the country and the world. Henceforth, I would now like to announce a short break of 10 minutes before we recommence with the next session. I request the dignitaries, guests, and the audience to kindly bear with us till the stage is set up for the same. Thank you.
Why? I can get you some water. I think
And if you try to last week from government, how so I'm trying to
But what is the process like this? Like you give to keep?
Bilang konsep jika bilang konsep jika itu guys
But back then it was not really so functional. Sad because it was such an amazing place. You have this chilies growing, birds. Yeah, yeah.
itu apa yang ikut kami apa yang ikut kami
Is it a society? I got it's nice, it's more like having a nice bonfire there. You know, like,
kita cek nanti
Thank you, sir. Kindly take a seat. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Larsing Ming Saoyang. I would like to request our students to kindly escort him. Thank you, sir. Kindly take a seat. I would now like to invite Mr. Jivat Vaswani. I request our students to kindly escort him. Thank you, sir. I request you to kindly take a seat. I would also like to request Mr. Flo Oberhofer to kindly come up on stage. I request our students to escort him. Thank you, sir. I request you to kindly take a seat. Last but not the least, I would like to invite our moderator for today's panel discussion, Dr. Maushmi Dey, Administrator, Women's College Higher Secondary, and media person, All India Radio and Doordarshan, Meghalaya. Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to hand over the proceedings of the day to our moderator, Dr. Maushmi Dey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What an august gathering, right? A big round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen, for these ladies and gentlemen that have gathered here today on this very, very auspicious, momentous occasion. I can't thank you enough for coming to our college and increasing the aura of this college by your presence here. Well, Meghalaya is celebrating this year the 50th year of its statehood. It's a great occasion, a glorious occasion indeed, that we have come a long way. 50 years now, and I was calculating when would be 50 years hence. Another 50 years would be sometime in 1972 probably. We complete a century almost, or 82, yeah? So we will be talking, we are looking ahead today. We have come a long way and we will be wishing to go even further ahead. So while we rejoice, celebrate this momentous occasion, that is the 50 years of our statehood, well, our panelists here have gathered to speak about what more can be done in the next 50 years as we travel, as we journey together to make this state of ours much more vibrant and much more dynamic. And one way of doing it, I suppose, I think all of our panelists would agree, is entrepreneurship. That is the buzzword these days. And it has been, been increasingly being pressed by our Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi also. Our Chief Minister is also heavily involved in it. Our guest of honor, has also spoken about it. I mean, I've just noted a few of the points that when our chief guest was speaking, he said to bring the rural, to go closer to the rural people, to take entrepreneurship to them. Because as Ma'am Ampreen also said, government jobs white-collar jobs are fading out. So we therefore have to think of entrepreneurship. Because entrepreneurship is something that not only, gives the self-employment, gives the person employment, but also gives plenty of employment opportunities to others as well. And this state is known for so much of resources. So much is there actually that can be taken up. Just one example, tourism, right? I mean, we all know tourism, but along with tourism, there's so much more that can actually be developed also, and that can actually bring a lot of employment opportunities as well. Homestays, you call it resorts. Well, we also have such organic farming. We have beautiful flowers, these flowers, floriculture. We are talking about beekeeping, right? So, and fashion, textiles, right? Interestingly, we are also talking of coffee now, Meghalaya's coffee. So, towards achieving this goal of taking the state further ahead in the next 50 years, we from Women's College thought it's time to bring these very successful entrepreneurs in one platform, because they can motivate, they can guide, they can inspire so much and pave the way, give a new vision, a new direction, new ideas that I'm sure will come up today from this discussion. And this discourse has so much to offer, I'm sure. So we are all looking forward, I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, for this occasion. Finally, it has come true today, and we are talking about entrepreneurship, the road ahead, Meghalaya's next 50. So let me now once again join all of you to welcome formally once again our esteemed panelists. Well, we have Mr. Jagdish Chelani, who is an IAS. He's the Executive Director, Meghalaya Basin Management Agency, or MDMA, which I read up, and it is a not-for-profit company incorporated under the Planning Department of the Government of Meghalaya, engaged in the implementation of specialized development projects focused on enhancement of natural resource management. And you're also in charge of PRIME, PRIME, a comprehensive program launched once again by the state government, that is the government of Meghalaya, and it looks at entrepreneurship and enterprise promotion and incubation in a holistic manner. I'm sure you have so much more to tell us on this. And this program is called PRIME, or Promotion and Incubation of Market-Driven Enterprises. There you have it, Mr. Chelani. Thank you so much for being with us. A warm round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen. We also have with us a very successful entrepreneur, Lar Singh Ming Sawian, an entrepreneur, a football official, and also the Vice President of All India Football Association, AIFA. So much involvement. You have gone beyond our state now. You are playing a very active role in the neighboring state of Assam too. We have been to a restaurant there, and I'm sure that you have so much more to offer today in this panel discussion. Once again, warmly welcome you to this panel discussion of ours. As soon as I have to take his name, I get excited. Why? Because we're talking of the Mark Stone Lightfang, or Mark Lightfang Stone. Because he's just not an entrepreneur, He is a CEO of Avenues, the Northeast India's pioneering life coaching and personal excellence training social enterprise. He's much more, because I've heard him speak in several platforms, a great communicator. Well, he will, I'm sure, floor you today by speaking so much on what the state really needs ahead in the next few years. A warm welcome to you, Mark Stone, to this panel discussion, and thank you very much indeed for partnering with Women's College in this program. Another great gentleman who's here with us is Mr. Jeevat Vatswani. Who doesn't know him? The food that we just relished actually has been very, very generously being, offered by him to us. Thank you so much. He is not only the Managing Director of Jiva Hospitality of India Limited, but all the beautification that we're seeing in and around Police Bazaar, all the cleaning that is being done, the beautiful flowers that is by the team Jiva. You're doing an excellent job, sir. Cannot thank you enough for beautifying this beautiful city of ours, making it so much more pristine and green. Your effort is so much praiseworthy, and the fact that you have come here to this auditorium today, to our college today, thank you so much for giving us your time. And we have two beautiful ladies on the extreme, of my right. Eva Malai. Eva, of course, is a fashion designer of natural fabrics, which I'm sure she'll be talking about natural fabrics of Meghalaya, and founder and creative director of Kiniho. Right? Kiniho. We'll be knowing what is the meaning of that, Eva, a little while from now. Thank you once again, and welcome to this panel discussion. We are also being joined by Dr. Marilyn Majau. She is the founder of the Smoky Fall Tribe Coffee. Coffee, yes, we are talking about Meghalaya's first indigenous coffee brand, right? And as we have already announced before, she's also the recipient of the Chief Minister of Meghalaya's Entrepreneurship Recognition Award in the year 2019. Eva, lovely to have a coffee break with you here, and thank you so much. I'm sure, your coffee will make great waves. Once again, we will taste the flavor of that coffee in this conversation that we will be having with you right now. Thank you again for being here. Last but not the least, of course, we have Flo Oberhofer. He is the program head of PRIME, PRIME, that is a promotion of incubation and market-driven enterprise. He happens to be from the country of Germany, presently here in the state of Meghalaya. Thank you very much, Flo, for coming to our college and in this panel discussion. Well, as I said, the gathering up in this stage is absolutely awesome. I mean, when I take their names, when I was going through them, I think this is the first time that we've got such a wonderful, awesome people, talented, multifaceted people in one platform. Lovely to see your faces, and I'm sure we're all looking forward to hearing you. Let me start this conversation by going to Mark. Mark, I can't help it but start with you firstly. You are an entrepreneur, but you're so much more than an entrepreneur, as I said. So, your opening comments in very brief words. What is the favorite part of being an entrepreneur for you?
Let me check if I'm audible first. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I actually don't want to take too long because, like our guest Ivana said earlier, the ladies and their stories in this college will be pivotal.
Yes, we will be hearing them very soon. Yes.
And then move on from there. I think the best part of the journey is learning on a personal level.
Yeah.
In life, if you're going to be walking down any path, whether it's a career, in services, or in public service, or perhaps even as an entrepreneur like us, there are three things that you need to learn to deal with. And I'll just take these three words and we carry on with the rest of the program. The first is, of course, rejection. At any point in life, if you've been capacitated with some idea and somebody looks at you and says, that idea is total nonsense, that is the start of you making a choice to actually say, this means something to me. And you do not need someone's external validation to pick that up and say to yourself, I choose my own path. So for everyone who's here and anybody who's listening, the first thing is the word rejection, dealing with that and how you cope with it. The second is, of course, resistance. You may be rejected, then you decide to do it anyway. And someone tells you, why should we do it your way? Why should we follow you and build your team and come into your team and work for you? And resistance is something we encounter not just at the beginning, but in the middle of our path, towards the tag end of our journeys as well. And how we embrace resistance from community, from your teams, as well as from the people who you look up to. And at some point it happens. Becomes a very pivotal part of how you take your journey forward. And the third, of course, is action. No matter what you do, if you have resistance or rejection, if you are able to anyways see it through with a concrete step of action, you choose anyway, I'm going to do this anyway. And you say to yourself that this is what I choose for my life. That is the beginning of all entrepreneurial thinking. When you have challenges against you, and while we talk about entrepreneurship, ladies and gentlemen who are listening as well, this is not just for entrepreneurs. I mean, there can only be so many job providers in the world, but what provides those jobs is not really the leader or the boss or the organization. It's the team that keeps that going. So the capacity of your teams, the capacity of the people you work with, the learning, like I said, is what I take from the journey, is what you have to imbibe into your team spirits when they move forward in the direction of entrepreneurship. Just on a closing note, I'd love to see in the next 50 years one awesome brand, at least one, that has stood the test of time in Meghalaya, that employs at least 1,000 people, and that is taking the state forward in terms of well-being and economic well-being. That would be my personal dream for the next 50 years. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your opening comments. Thank you. Now, I bring the lady in, of course. Coffee. I mean, I'm intrigued by it, really. I haven't really tasted, unfortunately, which I'm sure I will. How did coffee happen? Where is it being grown, Eva? Tell us a little bit. I know everybody here in this gathering, in this hall today would like to know. Are you okay with it, comfortable with this? Yeah? Okay. All right. You would like to hold and speak? Yeah. Okay. So, how did coffee happen with you? And Dasu? It is audible, you speak.
Coffee has been in our state for more than 100 years. I was introduced to coffee by my great grandmother. We belong to a village, Jilla. Jilla in the southern slopes of Cherpunji. And there we have coffee plants, growing as fences in the village. So when I was young, my grandmother used to take me to the village every year. So every Christmas we used to go and spend a Christmas time in our village. So I was always being, amazed by this plant that we have. And because during December is a time where it, the coffee cherry, we harvest coffee cherries in the village. But then again, when I was young, I didn't know much about coffee and the variety that we have here and the coffee that we have in our, in Shillong in the form of Nescafe. So while growing up, I learned that the same coffee that we have here, which is Arabica and Robusta, is the same variety that, Nescafe and cafe coffee we are roasting and brewing coffee. So that was how I have grown to love my own coffee from the village. And then 12 years back when I started, it was quite. I was telling Eva as well. It was that time back then. It was very lonely because I was alone. Like starting this coffee journey, and thankfully, having people to encourage, that was very important. At first, when I started, I believed in the product in itself. Then I believe in what I wanted to do about coffee. So started working with my uncles and some farmers, coffee farmers from my own village till now, and neighboring villages. So when we go to neighboring villages as well, we learn that the coffee that has been growing there for 150 years. There was a book also by P.C. Basu, written by P.C. Basu in 1905, the coffee plantation in the Khasi Hills. So coffee happened way back then, more than 100 years in Meghalaya. Till the 1950s, the people in our village used to have coffee. Till the 1950s, they pan roast it in traditional, those iron tower, and they have coffee. Then again, tea happened, so they shifted to tea. And then what happens is that then people start, cultivating. They don't cultivate coffee anymore. They use coffee plant as fences and beautifying and decorating their houses. Then when I went back to my village, so I really encourage and give them awareness about the importance of coffee. Of course, the coffee that we grow there, it's Robusta. The Indian population, they like more chose Arabica coffee. Thankfully, now we have good quality coffee beans from from Borotu, from Jaiti Hills. We have from Longspan, West Khasi Hills. We have from Amlaran. We have from Borotu. We have from Kong Kong. Hong Kong, Karashionong, what happens is that they always have this cloud burst. That is the main challenge that we always do. Every time we try to help them with nursery plantation and everything, the cloud burst happens every monsoon. So that really, have, yes. But actually they have a very good crop there, a good variety of coffee. And of course, we also procure coffee from Kara Hills. So when I started, I'm so thankful that I met the people from Coffee Board. They, helped me a lot 12 years ago. But again, they encouraged me to, when I started to do roasting, they told me that I should go for procuring coffee beans from Chikmagalur because Blue Tokai and other brands, they procure coffee from down south. The best coffee from India, and they roast the best coffee in India as well now. Blue Tokai, how I got associated with them because the father-in-law, the father of the owner of Blue Tokai, we visited our place and we know them. So they encouraged me into processing and introduced me to processing of coffee and packaging coffee. So then, but then when I started, since we already have our own coffee beans in Meghalaya, so I thought, why should I do? So even with the coffee board, they encouraged me that to go down south. But I said, no, we have our coffee beans from Meghalaya. So that is how I started with just to and roast our own coffee beans and procure our own coffee beans from Meghalaya and start doing our own roasting and packaging. Then back then I was working in SBI, then I resigned after that and I took a PMHP loan and then started my own venture called Stride Coffee. And initially I started with a small coffee roaster of 1 kg, then again after that I went into the full 5 kg roaster, which is a proper loan by the PMHP scheme. And because of that, my roast profile of coffee has really improved, and we could cater to many clients and customers all over the country as well. And one thing is that when I started back then, it was very difficult because I'm the first generation entrepreneur. We don't really have that much capital to start off with. So for me, loan was an option then. So I took it, and thankfully with the PMHP, with the subsidy that I got. So yes, I'm so thankful for that. Then I could do what I'm doing now. Of course, I'm not really going very fast with it. We're going slow with coffee because we need time. Coffee takes 4-5 days to grow, to harvest. So we are. Yeah.
It's been quite a coffee journey for you.
Yes, it is.
Right?
It has
I mean,
been.
I didn't know all these, what you're saying. There is so much of coffee, and coffee, people were drinking it since 1905.
Yes.
Oh my God.
1850s.
18, yeah. This is something very, very, I think, something new that, and all over the state, they're using coffee as fences, you just said. Okay, and the fact that you have been able to get so much of information now, I'm sure that as you're journeying along this coffee journey of yours, and then that the fact that you've put your foot down that no, I will be marketing and selling the coffee grown here, right? And that is a big thing that I think that is highly commendable, and I'm sure that you'll be able to further improve it, and then we will all have Meghalaya grown coffee. We will be coming back to you in a little while from now. I come to the second lady with us, Eva. You're into fashion, fashion designing. Yeah, of course, we all here in the state are very, very fashionable. I mean, any day we just have to go out and see how lovely our ladies look in their highly fashionable clothes, right? And they look so beautiful. You are choosing natural fabrics, you said. Can you tell us a little bit more of that?
Yes, so I started Kiniho, which the meaning of Kiniho, it means it's in Khoi, extracted from Khoi. It means these are the ones. And it's actually an expression in Khoi as a way of saying by a person to someone who doesn't see what's already there in front of them.
Okay.
Yeah. I got with the name Kiniho because when I started Kiniho back in 2016, I didn't know that I would want to work with Air Silk. I knew that I want to work with something sustainable fabric. I have this mission in mind, in my heart, that I want to start something that doesn't benefit me alone, but also my own community viewers. I want to start a business that doesn't affect our environment and all those who are involved in it. Because as you know, fashion and textile industry is the most poisonous industry. So I didn't want to deal with that. I love fashion. I have so much passion towards it, but then I don't want my fashion to affect the environment and all those who involve. So that's why I decided I need a natural fabric. I started with kalamkari fabric, which is a natural printing fabric down south. I started in Bangalore, so that was the reason I started with that. But then one fine day, I realized, and also because of the constant calling of my mom, persuading me to come back home, made me realize that what I've been looking for is already there in front of me. And also, that's the meaning of Niho, and which was the reason I came back home in 2016 and started doing my research and worked with my own community weavers in Ripoi district in Umben. And the reason why I choose Air Silk is because it supports my mission. It's one of the most sustainable silk. It is also known as the silk or the non-violent silk because unlike other silk where they kill the silkworm, in Air Silk you don't have to kill the silkworm to obtain the fiber. So that's why it is called the most sustainable silk. That is my main reason why I chose aerosol. And also, I decided not to use chemical dyes because of the beautiful texture that we have in aerosol. You cannot spoil it with chemical dyes. And also, as you know, how chemical dyes impacts the people walking and also the environment. I choose to work with natural dye with the locally available ingredients within the state. Yes.
Okay, we'll be coming back to you again. So interesting, that you have come back to your roots, you're giving jobs, and this is what entrepreneurship is all about, right? Not just for yourself, you do it for others. And yeah, that is what we will be stressing because, when we are talking about there not being any jobs, there's so much of job. When one is passionate about it, when you make others also passionate towards the same cause. When I come back to Lar Singh Ming, where did this idea of your business? Because you are almost developing an empire. Can I use the word? I don't know. But then, how did this? Are you from the business family? But because simultaneously you're also into sports, how is that being managed? How that these two come together?
Yeah, so essentially, I'm what we call a second generation entrepreneur. So my father, who of course started the business, was an architect by qualification, and he started off with venturing into a bit of design and construction in his earlier days, and then eventually he started off with the construction of Center Point and building of a hotel there. And I, of course, joined him very, very early into the business. I had just finished from college in Bangalore, so it's already 2 decades now. It does seem just like yesterday. So that's my basic initiation into business. And of course, as you mentioned, essentially, with the Centerpoint Group, we have we've diversified into various businesses. The core being hospitality. We've always been very, very passionate. We are passionate about hospitality, so that's what I did primarily for the first few years of my life. So as of now, from a hospitality perspective, we have Centerpoint, we have Vijay, and a hotel down in Guwahati called the Guwahati Address, which you mentioned, and cafe in Lankra, and a bed and breakfast as well. Hopefully in the next few years, there are some more projects on the anvil. One is in Piso, next to Tulna, and hopefully we'll have that coming up within the next 18 to 20 months. And perhaps some more hotels here towards Omia.
Right.
So that's as far as hospitality is concerned. Beyond that, we are also into construction. So we've just kind of diversified our portfolios, but the construction part is not so market driven, so I won't talk so much about it. Of course, we are hoping to get into real estate development also if the opportunity provides. And third of all is we've started a real estate vertical, retail vertical. So we also into retailing, and we have a cluster of different retail enterprises as of now in Shillong. And the football journey, of course, is a passion. I came in very early, 21, I came back, was very convinced that I wanted to immerse myself into business before ever harboring any thoughts of going for further education. So the first project which I initiated was actually taking over of a heritage, a kind of a dilapidated structure, which was an annex of the Tripura Castle, where I had spent a few years going to tuitions when Mrs. Mohan used to live there. And we set that up with the Tripura family, and we restored that property, created some additional constructions, and perhaps created the first sort of boutique hotel in the state and perhaps in the region at that point of time. So that was, of course, way back in 2002, so it's about 2 decades from now. And yeah, so that is my story as far as hospitality is concerned. And of course, with football is a passion, as I mentioned. So I used to play football, and I came back and I said that along with whatever I do in terms of business, I must also follow some elements of my passion. So I got into taking over the club, the job. I played a season as well, but I quickly realized that playing football and trying to do business is not going to work out. So I retired at the early age of 22 or 23.
Oh my.
Yeah. Then of course spent a lot of my time in building the club because that was a passion. It was also sort of CSR for us, that we should also contribute back to community, and that was one way in which we looked at it. And of course, football was a different journey. It went on to play the I-League and found the first ISL club in Northeast India, which we had started and of course exited. But Lajong is still very much part of our long-term agenda. And beyond that, of course, in between, more out of, I don't know how that happened, but yes, as you mentioned, I got into football administration as well. So somewhere around 2008-9, when I was 30, I was asked to start getting involved in football administration. So I became secretary of Meghalaya Football Association. That kind of led to, me becoming an executive member of the All India Football Federation. Of course, today I'm vice president as of now. So, I mean, that's my second term as a vice president. So that is, of course, a bit of football administration. So that in a way kind of encapsulates my.
You're making it sound so ordinary and so humble, which it is not. I mean, it's huge, let me tell you. And only people like you, who are so passionate about it, can make it sound so little when it is so big, right? Now we come to another very, very, a very talented person, very motivated, and that is Mr. Jeevan Vaswani. How does any ordinary day look like, Mr. Vaswani?
Greetings to everyone here. I'm very humble and you are inviting me here. It's very simple. It's just day starts and you just need to work out. You have to work. And I believe in whatever you do, you should do with love. So that's my motto. Whatever my people, my staff, my team, I just tell them, whatever you do, do with love. Otherwise, don't do anything. So I believe a little bit that whatever I am today is whatever passion in the hospitality industry. I love my work. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a environmentalist, that, and also, so we as a team, as a Jiva, we have come to this planet, and every day I look to do something different. It's a day to day. We believe in step and step, just day at a time. Yeah.
We have seen you, pick up cleaning rivers along with Operation Cleanup Group, right?
Yes.
Cleaning up the rivers, the dirty, some of the golf course. So much of beautification going on. I'm seriously wondering, where does all that energy, the motivation, the drive, the passion come from? Because this is something which we need to pass on, to the youth. Yeah, right. Because sometimes they get a little lag behind because they don't have enough, maybe, the motivation, the inspiration. And here is a living inspiration, who does so much and yet has so much time also to do more things. All right, we'll come back to that, Mr. Aswani, a little later. But then let me just bring in, yes, our other panelist here, and that is Mr. Jagdish Chilani. As I have already said that you are the Executive Director of the Meghalaya Basin Management Agency, MBMA, which is a not-for-profit company incorporated under the Planning Department of the Government of Meghalaya and engaged in implementation of specialized development projects focused in enhancement of natural resource management. Can you kindly tell us a little bit more of what is this MBMA under the aegis of the government of Meghalaya? Yes.
Should I use
I think this is audible.
So, MBMA is a Section 25 company that is established by government. The idea behind setting up MBMA was that for all the initiatives that the government may want to take in future, we have the flexibility of engaging. So MBMA started with the natural resource management idea that we have the external aided projects under the IPAC and World Bank by the name of PLAN, Meghalaya and CLAN, which started in terms of natural resource management. Now, slowly and onwards, MBMA has expanded its work into entrepreneurship through the Prime program. We are working a lot on giving working capital support to farmers through our focus program. There are several other initiatives which are engaged with certain central ministries and others. So that's the ambit that MBMA has started working on and reached to a point where we had two successful cohorts on A championship, the CME championship challenges, and we are now working a lot with the Prime program within the MBMA as well. So I think for the Prime, Flo would be the right person to elaborate.
I will be speaking to you. So let me bring in Mr. Flo. You've been patiently waiting, Yeah. So let's talk about Prime. What is Prime all about? Because I've gone through the website. It has so much in it. Anybody here should just type www.primemeghalaya.com and go into it. It is simply mind-boggling, the kind of skill enhancement, the kind of stuff that is there, that you're waiting for young budding entrepreneurs to actually come to you, and you are giving them all the help and the support. Tell us a little bit about Prime.
More importantly, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram, Prime Meghalaya. Just making a little bit of advertisement what I can. So Prime, it's very simple. It looks complex, but in the end, it's very simple.
So I didn't say it looks complex. It really looks very, very wholesome.
It is. So I think the general philosophy that we follow at Prime is whoever wants to become an entrepreneur, or whoever already is an entrepreneur but wants to grow as an entrepreneur, can come to us, and we'll try our best to support. That is the general philosophy. And under this philosophy, we have a lot of programs and initiatives that we are running. So our core is obviously, as Jagdish already mentioned, the Chief Minister's E-Champion Challenge. So every year we select the top 50 best entrepreneurs of the state and incubate them under us. So what does incubation mean? We run them through a structured training. More importantly, they have a mentor, a sector-specific mentor, right? For example, for Congiva, if she would be under the top 50, advertisement, please next time join us. We will give her a mentor that has a lot of experience from the fashion background, and possibly we'll give her entrepreneurs, right? And apart from this, we have boot camps that equip the entrepreneurs with very general, knowledge related to entrepreneurship, from finance to digital marketing to, way across the board, right? And, this is like a structured program, right? But then you have a lot of entrepreneurs walking into our hubs in Shillong and Tura that, are just coming to us and telling us, we are doing this, how can you help us, right? So we try to get them into trainings. We try to connect them to funding, a very, very important point. I think this is where many eyes will be, lightening up. So we have some very interesting funding opportunities for entrepreneurs, specifically also for entrepreneurs in their initial stages. So we try to cover the whole spectrum of it, right? We also have a pre-incubation program for entrepreneurs who just come to us with an idea, because this is where it all starts, right? It all starts with an idea, and then this important step towards really executing. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I know that the most difficult step is not once in an advanced stage. It's this very first step of starting. Going out. Showing people what you want to do. And this is how we try to help the entrepreneurs. We run them through these programs, give them mentoring, give them motivation, and then help them along the way as well. And we also have something for the academia, and I think this is something where we want to connect with you as well. So we also try to help the universities and colleges of the state to build up internal entrepreneurship development programs.
Fantastic. I mean, it's so nice to hear that these programs are in fact there, which maybe many of our students also were young budding entrepreneurs. I'm sure many of them would be once they complete their education, were not aware of. But today, being in this in this discussion that you've joined us, I'm sure so much you'll be learning today. Let's come back to Mark again. Mark, we are in an educational institution. We are teaching them history, political science, economics. But we need to also go into skill, right? How important is skill-based education? Incidentally, this college also has a skill hub. We have started with a skill hub. Our students are learning photography, they are learning coding, they are learning web designing, basics of accounts are also being given. But then, our education structure, the system is so syllabus driven of learning the subjects which maybe the students are not really interested in, right? But they were forcing them down their throat, literally, that they need to do this, because without this, they are not educated enough. But then at the end of the day, this is not giving them jobs. Skill is giving them jobs. So tell us through about the importance of skill.
Maushami, when you say skill is giving them jobs, I'm going to differ with you on that.
Okay.
It's the application of that skill that matters. And when you're looking at, if you're in college right now, for example, and you're building up your academic knowledge, to pass an exam, to pass a test, this is actually sort of work that we do at Avenues. So I'm going to refer to our own model so that maybe it might help someone here. At the end of the day, wherever you choose to work and whatever line you choose to pursue, the one thing you are valued for most in your life is the ability to solve a problem. You're given a challenge, and your job, either on a team or in leadership, is to find out how to take that challenge, break it apart into its small little bits and pieces, figure out how to address that problem and turn it into a solution. And sometimes, if you're lucky, or rather if you are blessed with the opportunity, you will come up with a solution to a very social problem, a problem that everybody has. And that can turn into a beautiful business that ends up becoming very successful. Just for a note of inspiration, I want to talk about a very young boy who's recently hit the headlines from a state that's a sister state of ours, Sikkim. There's a guy called Rivaj Chetri. I don't know if you've heard of his name. He is one of the few men from our country who's made to the Forbes 30 under 30 list. This is a very exclusive list. Now, it's not big news in terms of money, it's big news in terms of the region. His organization, and like you said, the most important step is floating the organization, starting it, getting your idea into place, is called Any Origins. If you look at it and you look it up today, anyorigins.com, you'll see that they're actually doing what we've already always done, curating produce from across the region, curating handicraft, curating spices, fabrics, wear and apparel, and putting it up on our website. But the smart thing here is he went ahead and incorporated the idea. Got a valuation. You know what a valuation is? It's when another investor says, your agency is worth so much money in the open market. And although it's a small amount of money, he's got a formal valuation of $2 million. And how does this happen? It doesn't mean he's got $2 million. It means he may have got $100,000 at the rate that will lead him to $2 million as the valuation. Now, just to be able to speak in this language, have you ever thought of this coming from the Northeast before? Investors, companies, a future trajectory. And at the end of the day, what is Rivaj showing us, and what are other entrepreneurs like Tasu and Eva showing us is the schooling system and colleges are not, forgive us, preparing you for the challenges of life. They're preparing you to pass an exam. They're preparing you to pass a board examination and to get your marks. And that is very important. There are some committed teachers in our community who will go above and beyond the call of duty. They'll step out of the curriculum and also give you skills for life. What are these skills? The way you think, the way you feel and how you process your emotions, the way you talk to other people and connect with them, and most importantly, how you turn a plan into action and then take that step forward. This is skilling. But these skills are not taught even in a skills program. They teach you how to maybe put a piece of wood together to create a frame, code a piece of program to handle a program. But they don't teach you how to turn that into an idea that has gravitas, that moves into a market where you can connect with people and take your idea forward. So if you are looking to start off in life, remember the 5 critical skill sets apart from academics and skill building are: number 1, a mind for learning. The moment you see something, how you learn that skill. So not what to learn, but how you learn. The second is how you communicate with other people and how you deal with other people. That's your passport to success in life. The third is your ability to take a problem and break it up and solve it. Thinking through a problem. The fourth, very important that no one talks about, is you're in charge of your mental mindset. You're in charge of your emotions. You cannot hold anybody else accountable for you reacting negatively to a situation. You're in charge of that. Whether you're in a job, you've gotten your first shouting and you want to run back home to mommy. Or whether you're an entrepreneur, you've had your first failure and you want to still keep moving forward. Your emotions are your capital in a very uncertain world. And how you manage them is your asset. The fifth, very important, is your ability to take a goal. Everyone talks about goal setting. You heard of this? Tell me, goal setting, yes? Have you heard of the phrase goal setting? Yes. You know what goal setting is? It means, okay, I write this down and put it out there. But no one teaches you goal getting. You talk about goal setting, no one teaches you how to go and get it. That takes great courage and determination. So apart from what our teachers teach us, which we are very grateful for, that skill building, the capacity to apply these skills in real life, is what we actually call entrepreneurial thinking.
Absolutely.
This is at the heart of all entrepreneurs.
Right, the mindset. I mean, that is what we need to inculcate, right? That, jobs are hard to get by. The mindset has to change now, that, you have to make your own job.
And as quickly as possible, I think the Indian government, the new education policy is a real beacon of light in that respect. Because you're now incorporating many elements that were previously unspoken of and are preparing people for life, not just for degrees.
Yeah. But then, it depends also into individual states when they are planning to implement the NEP, because it is education in any case, it's a state subject.
Mosh, we don't have to wait for an implementation. But teachers take the mindset into their classroom.
That is being done, but then, the order, the direction has to come from them. We cannot do it, on our own. First, they have to tell us to do it. Go ahead and do it. In any case, we have already started it. I told you with the skill hub here in our own small way. Eva, last I come back to you because, being women, of course, our guest of honor was saying, we are in the Tree Society. The women are all over being seen as little entrepreneurs, big entrepreneurs like you, struggling entrepreneurs too. What are some of the challenges you faced really when you were on this journey? Because your challenge would also speak about the general challenges that is there existent in the state, which needs to be focused, with renewed vigor maybe to ease out those challenges. Some of them, if you both can mention us.
I do have few challenges way back then. But then again, of course, one of the things that I would really bring it to light is being a woman. And in our society, we have which is a fact. In fact, in our state, we have so many single women, single mothers running their business, a small business around. I was such challenges here, but I don't know. See, as a woman entrepreneur, as someone who would like to seek help and funding from the bank or from any other organization, first thing first is a guarantor, and always it's a male guarantor that you always ask. I would like to keep this to because these are the things, the criteria that the government has
speak,
has
get your heart out.
Last
The
time we
right
had
person is there to
yes.
look into
we had the discussion with some of the, our society, our community that we work with. And one thing about being a woman, in this business, banks still ask for the male, the husband's PAN card, the husband's being a guarantor. which will be, it's a bit difficult, I would say, in today's
So
society,
not
especially.
everyone, not everyone is married. Right?
Not everyone is married, and sadly, in our state, in fact, we have many single mothers who run the business, no? And it's very difficult for them to procure loans, to procure anything that the help that they want, because of when you go to a Government of India website, they'll always ask, for all these things, the details of their husbands, the details of their, like mostly husbands. And that is one setback I feel, because last time when we had a meeting with among women, we discussed on this, like these are the issues, small issues of course, but it really like sometimes, especially a woman who wants to grow her business, for her to take a step, then the one thing that is there,
it can demotivate you.
Yes, that's there. Yes, and for me, yes, I had my own challenges as well, being, of course, a woman entrepreneur as well. For me, my challenge, I wouldn't say being a woman entrepreneur, but for me, back then, it was people, like, when I came up with the product, they couldn't believe, they couldn't, think that this will work out. But it was very important for me as Marcel, it's your mind. For me, it was like, I really believe in it, in the product that I put forward. And it's been many years for me that I've been working with coffee and making it grow, of course, slowly growing and having people, like the support that we had, like long time back. Yes, now we could venture to some other things as well, like spices and food processing, and of course, running a resort. I'm so thankful to be here with amongst Baming and Jivat. They are my inspiration. I always look up to them before we started, especially with Smoky Falls Resort. When that day, I really had, because I have a run resort in a place where it rains heavily. Sora, it rains, you know about Sora rain, but our area, it rains heavily than Sora because the clouds hasn't hit that latitude, so the clouds are heavy, so we have, like, we have more rainfall, and so we had some issues with the rooms and all, so I cried. So then I said, like, then my family said, like, don't cry, you always, like, don't think too much about all these challenges you have. You've done amazing work, because I took charge of the building of the whole structure, even like arranging labors, like buying, cement, everything I had to do it on my own, like, alone. And I used to get back from my place of work from 9:30, 10 at night, traveling alone from Tirna to my place back home because I have children to drop them to school every morning. It was a challenge. But then again, like, what my family experts at we discussed, like, see, like, we should look for, business like Jiva and Ming and all, but they run it. They are, like, they have had their struggle way back. I think so. I believe that Ming will know the struggle that your family had way back, and Mrs. Jiva also will know better about the challenges, especially dealing with the locals, how to get them to work with us, and then train them, to be, especially when like hospitality is a big thing, and then we can just bring youth from Shillong to work with us there in Janna. So we have to, recruit, locals from there and then teach them about hospitality.
And
So
I
it's a
think
big
the
challenge.
COVID situation, I think,
It was very bad. It was very bad as well. How we handled that also was very, very tough.
No, but the fact that you've come out of these challenges and you've taken those challenges by its horns, literally, you take the challenges by its horns and you're moving along, that is the great spirit, I suppose. And I think you have your mentors here who have also, I'm sure, gone through similar, and they haven't given up. I think one of the Mark and Ming and Jiva would, I think, agree with me is the never to give up, never to die spirit, right? Because setbacks will happen, but then how you rise above your setbacks is what gets you going. Eva, any challenges for you quickly?
There were lots of challenges when I started back in 2016. I left my corporate job just like that, without any like much saving to start my own business. But I was so I had enough of corporate job, and I didn't like what I was doing then. So I decided to quit, and I came back home with nothing. Actually, I started with nothing, so to say.
Very bold decision.
Yes, yes. And I used to get a lot of questions. I mean, like, people would say only rich people can start a brand, right? But then that didn't click in my mind, didn't stuck in my head actually. I just focused on what I wanted to do, and
You
Yeah,
know,
here you are,
yeah,
with a brand of your own.
yes, yes. So there were lots of challenges all along the way, and also when pandemic hit us. Yes, it was very bad, but with the help that I get from the government, I decided I would continue. I was on the verge to quit because it was that hard for me, and I didn't come from that kind of background that I can easily support myself. And then when we were in pandemic, I work with artisans. I work with weavers whose livelihood income depends on weaving. So if I don't pay them, they don't have anything to eat. So yeah, so that was the problem I was facing back in during the pandemic time. It was quite difficult, but then and there were so many other kinds of hindrance that comes along my way, like also in terms of market. Shillong, yes, it's a fashionable state, but they don't realize much about India. Yes, they know India as in shawls and mufflers, but not much as in like tansam or clothing.
Right.
So yes, it was quite a challenge when I started, but then somehow with the exposure that I get, with the helps that I get from friends, and also with the supports that I get from the government and also from Prime, I am here.
When you are
Yes.
right, and you'll further grow, I'm sure. Quick word on, from the mentors, Jeevat and Narsingh Singh, because they are, how to overcome quickly before I go to the, how to, improve the marketing aspect of entrepreneurship, because, we need to build entrepreneurship. Quickly to address what they have said, your own stories, just to, from your own, how did you have setbacks and yet you overcame those setbacks?
I can relate to both cases. And when was talking about I can understand the kind of frustration because she doesn't spend so much of time just to spend. It really is not easy. And to take that risk of putting your money, your time, your energy is building something, and then at the perhaps peak of tourism, people are coming in, and then the rooms start leaking. They're going to face a lot of complaints. Whereas Nora obviously very key so as well to understand the kind of constraints with which one is working. Even for her, she is a pioneer in creating something in that part because in that village there are very few tourism facilities. So in that sense, she is a pioneer in creating that in that area. So of course, I mean that's what enterprise is all about. I mean, it's a bottomless pit at the end of the day. You just have to keep working hard and persevere.
However deep the
Perseverance, I think, is the key. I mean, as long as you're consistent and you persevere, I think life has an uncanny way to reward you. So that's basically it.
Right. So let me just quickly, yes.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, as you say, there's a fish. You're gonna make a fish climb a tree, right? And I was not going academics. I was very bad. So Edmund School, I was studying Edmund School, and they really told me to leave the school when I was in class 8. They literally folded their hands and said, "Please leave the school." So I went to Anthony's and I got through to Anthony's. But let me say one thing. I made today Edmund School says, "We didn't understand you." So that's what, as an entrepreneur, it's hard work and persistence. You persist your work, you keep doing it, don't give up, you go through it.
So you really don't need a first division or a high, degree to become an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah,
You need the drive.
You need the drive, you don't give up, keep doing. You persist, keep persistence and that. So that is very helpful.
Can I just add one thing? I see, like, everyone knows about this fancy startup, Zomato, Uber, and everything. But in the end, and we celebrate them for getting billions and billions of dollars investment. But frankly, starting a startup here in Meghalaya is a whole different story. Because in all the metros, you just call, let's say, any delivery service, they pick up your products, right? Those ladies, they deal with basic things like how do you get your products out there? How can we increase the speed on Amazon, right? These are very basic things, right? All these big startups in the metros, they don't have to deal with it, right? So you should not follow these people, you should follow these two, right? Because these are the real heroes, overcoming these kind of basic challenges. It's crazy, I tell you. So These are rock stars, these are heroes, and just go to Tirla once. How one person managed to set up a resort there is something that still does not go into my mind.
I mean, what more would you need, Dasu? Look at the kind of words, inspiration that you get.
Relate to the second point, of course, Iba mentioned about ERI not finding too many recipients as far as local market is concerned. So, it's what is important is believing in your product and also knowing your target audience. These are two very, very important elements. So I would also share my story, like when we started in Guwahati. We actually set up a hotel in not the real commercial zone of Guwahati, it was a more off-beat. Of course, now it's like quite happening. There's Hard Rock Cafe, there's KFCs have come in, everything is there. But when we did, there was nothing. It was a stretch of road where there were no hotels and it was more residential than commercial. But when we set up, we identified our target audience, number one. Number two, we created a product which we believed in. But we did not actually replicate the same kind of cuisine that we have in Shillong. We went for something totally new. So in that sense, it was a startup, though we were already 2 decades into hospitality. Initially, my managers were very worried because there were actually people who came into the restaurant, looked at the menu, and left because they didn't find the staple food that they're used to in that menu. But we persisted. Today, that persistence has paid off because, in a certain way, we're regarded as one of the places to dine. So it's about being clear about your product and knowing who your target audience is. And there definitely is a target audience for every. So,
Yes, I could create shawls and mufflers. But then Jainism was very new back then when I started, and also running fabric. There were no running fabric of India because I wanted to make clothing. And when I started creating my own textile running fabric to make clothing, it was something new back then, like when I started like 5 years ago. But then now they have got the message and they understand, that you can also have India clothing.
Right. It takes time, I suppose, because people have to know your product. And there also comes a question of marketing it, because often people have products with them, but they are not being able to market it. Quickly, Mr. Chiladi would like to come into this. How can, our local products that are there, let's take the bamboo, the cane, furnitures, etc. How can this marketing thing happen? Because there might be a person who is doing good thing right in the rural area somewhere in the corner, but he's not accessible to the market. He's not being able to reach out his produce, his products, his final products as well as the raw material. Anything you would like to speak on this?
Surely, I have. So regarding agri products, I can just mention that I have recently joined as MBAs for the agriculture marketing board in Meghalaya. The first and the important things that we are looking at, especially regarding agri and other products, is the buyer-seller needs. So what we have is a very niche product. Most of these products are very niche in their nature of consumption and the nature of production itself. The idea for reaching out to the market was to bring the buyers here, give a proper conclave or presentation to them as to what we have to offer, and then let them have an MOU, put up an order for people to procure those materials from the producers that we have. For example, we took some entrepreneurial recruiting firm Dasu for our Dubai Expo with the net fee. So Shillong Bamboo had, so they are working in bamboo products. They have gotten orders from the Saudi Arabia Defense Ministry. So these are ways that we are now trying to establish some networks where we have people who are into buying niche products at least, and for people who are actually buying bulk products of agriculture related. So these are both things that we are also looking forward to. Moreover, now for the entrepreneurs that are already working with us, so first we are pretty open to everybody who wants to get in touch with us or even get some consulting from the very concept seeding part of it, the ideation and everything. So now what we are trying to do is we are trying to create this kind of network. Once we have sufficient database directory for contacting these people out, then we'll be also able to have an entrepreneurship expo kind of event where we can actually showcase most of these products that are there by the entrepreneurs here. The idea is to support those who primarily are not able to reach the marketing part. For example, those entrepreneurs who have established themselves in hospitality industry in areas where it's more reachable. They are usually urban agglomerations where it's very visible. So our idea is to actually look out for places much in, for example, Garo Hills. I'm also director for Meghalaya Entrepreneurship Entrepreneurship, and one of the major products under it is the Remy fabric. So as Congiva is also saying that Eri silk was not very popular here. Most of the caterpillars are actually from Reboy district, but the largest production of Eri is happening in Assam. That is something that entrepreneurs like Congiva are now planning and doing a change towards. Similarly, Remy is a fabric that's the strongest silk fabric out there in the world. It was used even for ancient mummies. So that's something that was adopted in Garo Hills in 2016. We have had interaction with French ambassador on this. So these are people who are already into fashion industry and would like to procure a bulk of this material for the fashion industry there. That's where we are pitching in. It's more case-to-case basis. Once we have a proper understanding of what requirement of the market is, what our production and our engagement with these entrepreneurs are, we then will have some kind of proper formal expo kind of thing.
Right. Okay. But then I think, Mark, I would like to bring you in now. We have the raw materials. We have the people who want to engage themselves with entrepreneurship. Yet, there is some gap somewhere. What is that you would like to speak, and how do we address those lacunas, those gaps, and fill those in so that we really have, we have this Meghalaya's next 50 would be entrepreneurship driven. What would you like? Because, we have, as I said, so we have the resources with us, so many raw materials, we have the tourism sector, yet we are not seeing sufficient number of entrepreneurs coming up into this.
Okay, so I think we all agree we have to define what sufficient means. How many entrepreneurs is sufficient to call sufficient? Because if everybody is an entrepreneur, then you just have one-man shows everywhere, one-woman shows everywhere. The point is, while the entrepreneurship mission has actually put a very stable ecosystem in place right now, the need now is for ideas to emerge, and for those ideas to then take seed, and for them to then manifest into organizations, not just small teams, but large teams. And for this, there are many partners in the ecosystem. When I say an ecosystem, it means a support system, for all of us. So how many is sufficient? And that's a question that I think policy and government will address for many years to come. My point is, at least in my own, humble understanding of the whole ecosystem is this. Is if, for example, Eva, if you're producing that kind of silk, and you are choosing to see yourself as a mass producer, then you're missing on the fact that you're a niche product, which means you can have a brilliant idea, ladies and gentlemen here, anyone who's listening. But how you choose to tell the story of that product, how you choose to connect with the world through that product, can define the value that people attach to it. So, for example, when Ming and family set up the first boutique hotel in Shillong, us locals would say, wow, we want to be seen there, we want to eat there, we want to hang out there, because the perception was this is a special place. Rikinjai, the resort that Ming runs, is seen by the entire country as a testimony to even traditional architecture in the hills. I believe your father's won an award for it. And because of these human stories, small little ideas can gain huge global traction and visibility. But once you've got that visibility, you've told the story. Now it's important for you to value your services in a niche way, so that you're not working from morning to night making small change for what's actually very special in the world. So I think what's holding most people back is, number one, that at the end of the day, it's fear. I'm scared of taking that first step because of that one big word, failure. And a lot of people out here, I'm sure there are many of you, who have thought of something but have questioned, what if I take this to my parents today and they say, forget it, this is not the time for you to do these things, focus on your studies, Baba, or just get your results through. What if you're a teacher and you want to quit that stable profession to to start something in the tutorial space that no one thought of before. But you don't do it because of the way community will look at you then. So where all of this fear comes from, all of us worrying about how people think of us. So if you're an entrepreneur in the making, the first thing you have to let go of is that baggage, that fear that someone's going to judge me. Hey, they're going to judge you anyway. You put it up, you do it well, they'll judge you anyway. So letting go of that, Moshe, it's a really good question to ask. This is what's holding people back? What's sufficient in our economy? Sufficient is, I would say, 1:5. When I think an entrepreneur is successful in our state, is if someone can employ even one person under them, that one person has a family of 4 who's depending on that salary. So I call it, a 1:5 formula. One job creator can impact 5 other people who are in a family. So if you're stopping yourself because you're worried about how people will think of you, you're worried about failure, every single person sitting here and the many legends out there have all started with that same fear. But they're able to look beyond that fear and say, the one question you'll ask yourself is, and I love this, this is something I heard many years ago, is the things we will regret the most are the things we didn't try. And because you tried that, so you have that first stone you put out there. And now if you take a look at those photos, you see waterfalls all around you. You see the clouds burst over the resort. And no matter what people say about the architecture, the other thing you've got to learn to do with fear is to set expectations. Not just for your own self, but for your team. This is going to be hard. For the customers who are coming in, this is a very difficult geography. Things are going to be tough. Be prepared for it. But also remember to not undervalue your ideas. Otherwise, you're going to be working in a similar 9 to 5, making very little money for something that's actually very special in the world.
Yeah.
It may be a little uncharacteristic for the position that I hold right now to actually say something like this. But I also believe that when you're starting some idea, when you're converting an idea into a product, into a service that you want to take it to the world or take it to the public and then commercialize that further. I do believe that you should first start small. Your investment should not rightly go away in making a resort first, rather than establishing yourself as a brand. Unless you have some economic background towards it. Either your family supports you, with financial sense, because I don't think everybody is successful even at getting loans from banks or government, right? Yeah. So come dasu or come ibadin, right? So one thing is for certain that I don't think that you should blindly, just I don't again I don't support the idea to blindly follow anything. I only believe that if you are an entrepreneur and if you're actually going to set up a business should be logical in nature. That there is a set of input that goes into it, a set of output that is expected, and it should have an exit strategy as well. If you're thinking about something, always remember that, okay, maybe if tomorrow it does not work, how much, at what point are you ready to stop, right? We like humans are generally emotional, right? We are very passionate, like beings. So, for example, people who have lost a lot of money in stock market will put in more money because someday it will rise up, right? Things like those. Similarly, if we are starting something of our own, it's very natural for us to input more and more of our effort and money into it, personally. But I only suggest engage other players into that. Big businesses take it through funding rounds, right? Each of these investors are also they also understand, okay, maybe out of 10, 7 will fail, but they are ready to lose that money for acquiring that out of the 3 of them, which becomes successful. Similarly, I only suggest that if you today are planning to go public or public as if you're going to start something on your own, stop at a point or decide for yourself, okay, this is the amount of money that I will invest from my end, and then I will start getting money from outside, be it through government, be it through bank, be it through funders or investors. Right? Then you have a strategy in hand. Okay, this is where this diversification happens. Well, then they will not just come with money, they will also come with ideation. They will also come with some kind of hand holding to you. Okay, this is something that you can take up further. You may always have the opportunity to reject that proposal.
Yeah. So that means you need to have a plan, right? You just cannot go blindly into something, right? Yeah, yeah. You need to have a certain amount of plan at least, so that you know where, at what point of time you need to stop if it's not going right for you. Yeah, that's it.
People used to ask like when should I start exporting big amount of coffee? Like people ask every day they ask, are you exporting now? I always say like I don't export. We don't export because Meghalaya doesn't have that much. We don't have that much yield. So we have our own niche market. We have our own customers. And when we, of course, send them overseas, we send them by India Post, by different delivery agency, but not, of course, by exporting to different countries. Hopefully, maybe one day we can achieve that. I don't know, maybe 10, 20 years later, which working together with Coffee Pot. But for me, I'm quite content with how the brand is right now and the customer profile that we have from outside the state and here in the state itself. So of course it's growing slow, but of course again it's growing. It's not, it's growing as a brand. And people, they start loving the way that we roast the coffee, the story that we tell. And over the years, now I've diversified myself. I work into many other things as well, going to resort and doing food processing. But I've been working with coffee for the past 6 to 8 years alone, still to it, and then from there. Then I started, since the pandemic happened as well, so I started going to spices and food processing, and thankfully with the, with the guidance from MIE, going to check food processing and coming up with food products, all these things that are there. So for me, when I started venturing into other things as well, like it took years, you cannot just do one time now and then again you shift and do, you just have to be focused first, build it up, and then you can start focusing on other things.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Now, I just wanted to address a question to Mr. Flo because she just mentioned about food processing. I mean, there are a lot of people involved. Jackfruit also, the processing that is being applied a lot. I mean, that has been talked by our chief minister also, right? And then broomsticks, when we are talking about bringing the rural, getting stuff from the rural areas, broomstick is there, and many others. But then, having said so, our young audience here and our young audience across who will be watching this program, what are some of the ideas that you can give them, the local products that are there, which can become, an idea, and then which they can build into an entrepreneurship? Because you are working in the field, right? So, any new thing that they have not heard of that you would like to bring today?
See, there's a lot of things you can do here that, I give you some examples. For example, we all know cashew.
Cashew,
right?
yes.
But did you know the apple of the cashew is a superfood? Right? It's a superfood, like all these other superfoods that are out there. But what happens? It gets thrown away. It just, they extract the cashew, it's lying there. And it's lying there in tons and tons and gallons. Which is a good thing as well if you think about from a sustainable perspective, because it will fertilize the soil. But in the end, there is a huge opportunity. There's massive opportunities in bamboo, for example.
Tell me a little bit more if I may add, because I was there in Garo Hills, and whenever I was there were lots of these cashew nuts, and we were told that you're not supposed to have that fruit because it is poisonous. You discard it immediately. All thought, I know. But what is it? What is it that it is a superfood, you said?
See, like in the end, what happens is all the nutrients that the cashew tree or shrub, whatever you want to call it, produces first goes in the apple, and only then it's fed into the cashew, right? So basically, there's a lot of power left in this cashew apple. So even if you dehydrate it, if you make chips out of it, right, and you can sweeten it. There's many things you can do. You can even flavor it with pineapple. You can do so many things with it. But in the end, the main issue is also with bamboo, also with many other topics. It's specifically also medicinal plants. Meghalaya has a massive potential in medicinal aromatic plants, like orchids. There's orchids that sell 1 kg for 1.2 lakhs, right? Massive opportunities. But in the end, it takes a long time for you to get to the point where you understand how to process it, right? And for example, I'm pretty sure it took Dasu a long time to figure out this flavor profile of the coffee. How long do I have to roast? What do I have to do, right? What species do I have to use, right? And I'm sure for Comiva it's the same, right? In the end, to make this galley silk nice to touch, it requires a specific skill. Otherwise, it's a very rough thing, right? And dyeing is a whole other topic. So you have to put in a lot of effort. And for example, for this orchids, you need a permission or registration from the Plant Protection Authority, right? For the cashew apples, the cashew apples go bad immediately. You cannot transport them from Garo Hills to Shillong because they are very delicate fruit. So you need to really get your head into the topic. And once you do that, you have a massive opportunity. But it might take you a year or two with a lot of frustration, with a lot of times when you think, okay, the more I learn about this topic, the more complex it gets. You know, I'm not getting smarter, I'm getting more stupid, right? But this is exactly what Mark was referring to, right? This rejection, this failure, right? This is what you have to go through. And once you get to this point, now we have this one entrepreneur from West Hills. It took him more than 2 years to get the registration to commercially produce orchids. 2 years.
2 years.
2 years, more than 2 years.
Very, very disheartening, right?
Exactly.
So don't you think these systems that are in place should be, hastened up, fastened up, so that our young lot don't get frustrated because they want quick results in any case.
So this is where we try to come in. So for example, this registration and plant protection authority can take up to 4 years. So we managed to help them at least to reduce it to 4 years. We have entrepreneurs in Garo Hills who don't, in Riboy, who are into food processing, who don't have electricity. Now we're trying to help them, get transformers there, So this is where we can come in. I will never say, okay, we can solve any problem for you. That would be just blasphemy, right? But in the end, we can try. And from crime side, and I hope I'm speaking for you and as well, we don't expect you to be successful, right? This is the thing. It's all about expectations again, right? As an entrepreneur, there's always a component of failure. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I failed horribly, right? So there's always a component of failure, right? And you need to embrace that. And I think this is what distinguishes Prime from many other government programs. We also embrace this failure with you. We are there for you. We have many entrepreneurs who come to us crying, right? So we are not showing the door. Instead, we are crying with them, right? So, and I think this is the core component when we talk about the opportunities here. You have to go through this phase of failure, and only then this magic will open, right? Just going into honey processing because 100 others are doing it will not make you a big enterprise, because people will see you doing honey and you're doing it reasonably well, they will also start, right? You're not going to be able to really succeed, right? So please go through this period of failure, find people like us, and all of these entrepreneurs that are sitting here, they are incredibly supportive of the ecosystem. They are very approachable. They can be approached, right? It's not like they are here and you're here. So please approach them, learn from them, and then please go through it.
Right, because if I may just, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, you can give us your concluding comments. No, I mean, what did you say just now? You're in a hurry to leave or something?
Yes, I have meeting.
Okay. So we will be winding it up soon actually, because we are almost crossing time. Yeah.
So, I'll leave it to Flo to actually tell us about the startup grants and scale loans. For people who are out there who are planning to initiate a business, you always can contact Flo at Prime Hub. It's an open house, and if your idea is sustainable, it's something that we look forward to. Or even if you just want an opportunity to start, we have funding opportunities within Prime for 5 lakhs of scale-up grant for a step-up grant and scale-up grant and step-up loans up to 50 lakhs. So Flo will inform you, and then you can visit the website to understand more on how we in Meghalaya are trying to have the ecosystem on entrepreneurship much better than it used to. Thanks from my end.
Yeah.
I'll give a quick leave.
We will just conclude if you just give us 5 minutes.
Sure.
Just concluding comments from each of our panelists. I start with you, so quickly, 30 seconds, really. What are the 3 mantras, therefore, from the failures and the success that you think, to give it to everybody to learn from and to take your entrepreneurship to the next level in the next 50 years?
For me, my advice would be believe in yourselves, believe in the product you're putting in, and always stand firm in what you're doing and put it forward. Because without you putting it forward, no one will know. That is one thing. and the team is there, Flo is there, Prime Hub is there. I'm thankful for being associated with Prime and MIE. So they have really helped me in many things and meeting people around the country. So I would advise that if you want one help, visit the Prime office in Polo, and they would guide the young entrepreneurs here, and especially students from college.
Absolutely. Eva?
For me, the message that I want to pass on to the students is to, if you would like to become an entrepreneur, if you would like to work something on your own, start your own business, is to, as it helps me, I choose something that I am in love with, like something that I love to do, something that I'm passionate about. Just believe on that, focus on what you want to do and not what others has to think about what you do, and whether you will be successful or not. So just believe in yourself and love what you do.
Absolutely. And Mr. Chilani has already mentioned that they are there to help out, right, Mr. Chilani?
Yes, yes.
Right? Mark, quickly.
I mean, everybody else has spoken enough.
Okay, all right. And so, Pavan?
Yeah. So, my concluding remark would be, I'll talk more about the 50 years that we've spoken here. So, I per se am a firm believer that Meghalaya by itself is an amazing product. We are lucky that we've chosen this land. It is an amazingly beautiful land, strategically located, and becoming more and more relevant with the times that are coming in. From a regional perspective, the Northeast, which was considered the backwaters of the country of sorts, is actually going to be the center of all. It's going to be really the center of the entire radius of economic activity in the entire continent. And the reason I say that is because if you look at Guwahati, where the international airport is coming, it is actually going to be the most strategically centrally located airport in the entire country, because within 3 hours, we will be having 90% of the world's biggest metros, which are Asia's metros, from Guwahati Airport. Because the axis of the world economy is shifting to India, has shifted to China, and then to the ASEAN. So as much as we talk about the Look East policy, which is extremely important from a national perspective, the one that really is going to bring in immediate dividends for the Northeastern region is the Look West policy. Because we are in a country of 1.3 billion people, where 50% of this population is below the age of 25, and 65 to 70% of this population is below the age of 35. We have an IS officer here who perhaps can be termed a millennial of sorts. So that's where we're heading going forward. And this country is perhaps going to be third richest in GDP in another 7 to 10 years. So that is the opportunity. But what we need to understand is that most of this opportunity actually lies in how we preserve this beauty called Meghalaya. So nature, streams, urban planning, and ensuring that our rural areas are not decimated by unplanned, ruthless development is really what is going to take Meghalaya to the next level in the next 50 years. And the beauty of our current situation is that we, as people, tourism comes naturally to us, hospitality comes naturally to us, and most of our lands are still organic vis-a-vis the rest of the other states. So organic, pristine nature, and just natural beauty is going to be the mantra of the future. And that is something that no Elon Musk, no human being can ever create. So this is what we need to understand, and the entrepreneurs in us will emerge, because there's no rocket science in the future of tourism, which is going to be homestays, small boutique properties, guest houses, cafes, restaurants, and local products, which are going to be in numerous quantity. But saving this land from further fertilization, promoting the organic culture is actually what is going to take Meghalaya forward and perhaps make us really, really strategically poised in the years to come. So I think a lot of the onus, as much as we create enterprise and promote entrepreneurs, is going to be in realizing this fact. And as society, as a community, as voters, and as a government, we all work in the same direction.
Wonderfully said. Yes, Mr. Vaswani.
Yeah, I agree with Vamin what he said exactly. But looking forward 50 years ahead, Meghalaya, I would look forward for village tourism, like rural employment and all that. So every village will have a tourism, some tourism village. You see, so there'll be a lot of employment generated there, and then we don't do it in urban areas. We won't get a lot of people coming inside the sites. So, and it'll be very good. It'll preserve the nature of the villages, because a lot of villages they have no source of income, so they're going for stone quarrying, lime, anything. This is destroying the environment to earn the livelihood. So if tourism comes there anyway, Kerala has this massage tourism or medical tourism. We can have village tourism. This village has got specialists in this. People can go. The village is preserved. So I look forward in coming 50 years that people in villages also have the bread and butter for tourism.
And we did not come to the urban and Shillong.
And destroy the nature, because
Yeah.
you see what happened there. Literally cutting trees for their livelihood. They're cutting the stone quarrying, everything on minerals. They're just selling it off. And once you sell it, it's gone.
Right.
Tourism, you can sell the same product 1,000 times, and the nature will be there with you. Yeah, thank you.
Right. It's really spoken from your heart, right? And you work also from your heart, though. Mr. Flo, quickly, 30 seconds for you.
I'll just keep it very short. Like when looking to become an entrepreneur, please do one thing. Please look into your own culture, look into your own heritage, look into the wisdom that your tribes have come up with over thousands and thousands of years. And as much as I told you about this cashew apple and these medicinal plants, I know there's many more opportunities where, your forefathers, they knew about it, right? And they can now be turned into something that, that is very desirable for many people, be it like traditional healing, be it whatnot. There's so many wisdom that still needs to be unearthed. So please have a look into this when you look for new opportunities. And as an entrepreneur, the journey can often be very, very lonely. So find people around you that can support you, that can, be it like your classmates, be it at Prime, be it like some e-cells, whatever it is, to give you this kind of support to make it through these hard times that, people heard about.
Yes, Mark,
I just, when he said that word, lonely, for entrepreneurs. Hey, everyone sitting here, I don't know what background you come from. I don't know what your plans are, but I know that the majority will be doing something for the first time in your life, and perhaps your parents haven't done it before you. There are just three little thoughts. The first is this beautiful word called partnerships. Okay. There's a lot of people who think that entrepreneurship is a one-woman show, a one-man show. It's not. The partnerships are with your team. We talk a lot about our vision, our policies, our frameworks, but the biggest ecosystem around an entrepreneur is his or her team. If you are not in the market to build up the capacity of the people you're going to first hire, your very first employee, your second employee, your third, they are your captains, they are your leaders. They're the ones who will take that vision and then make it their vision. And you learn from them, and then you have collective vision, partnerships with your team. Second is patience. We're about to cross 110,000 admission this month. 110,000 young adults. Half of that number came in the last 3 years. But for 17 years, we struggled and no one understands what we went through. Patience. Sometimes your idea is so powerful, nothing can stop it. Sometimes it needs some time. And if you are willing to put in the time, that patience will lead to the third thing, which is persistence. Don't give up. That's it.
Absolutely, can't agree with you more. Forging meaningful partnerships, patience, persistence. Because I think at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is not just a job. It is a sentiment. It is something that you believe in. It is a passion. It is a dream that you ultimately make it into a reality. Right? Thank you so much, each one of you. Mr. Jagdish Shilani, thank you for giving us so much, a mine of information, literally, to all our young people who are watching this program. Thank you so much, Mr. Larsing Ming Sawian, for coming to our college today and being a part of this discussion. Mr. Jeevat Vaswani, thank you so much, spoken from your heart. You are a man, who wears his heart on his sleeves, literally, and you work it, and your work shows that. May you continue to do that kind of work. God bless you more and give more power to each one of you, in fact. Yes, not to forget our dear ladies, Dasu Marulin, Majao, gone through it, you'll go through it, more to come, more to conquer and achieve. Thank you so much for coming to us, and Eva Madai as well. Thank you. And from moreover, so wonderfully spoken, from his heart again, inspiring us, all our young, beautiful students there. And last but not the least, Mark Stone. Thank you. And it's been a wonderful discussion. I'm sure each one of you enjoyed, learned so much out of it. When you go out of this door today, I'm sure that you're already, you're filled with ideas out of from this room. You're taking it back. Most of our students are 6 semester students. In about 3 months from now, they finish their studies. They are now independent. Entrepreneurship is for you. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Please give them a big round of applause. Thank you for your patience, for tuning in, for listening to this program. I am so used to saying tuning in because I'm in the radio, right? Thank you. And I don't think so we're taking any questions and answers because there's no time really.